What's Jordan's role?
Well, we're part of the coalition. We have been working in Syria as part of the coalition. We've been talking to the Iraqis how we can assist them in Western Iraq. I think that's going to increase in the very near future. And then the role of Jordan elsewhere, because we're part of, I think, this regional international capability. So a very small country, but with many, I think, responsibilities throughout the region to combat this global threat.
There's some question of NATO training troops and some reports that they may be trained in Jordan.
We're looking for, we're talking to the Iraqis. They have some interest of us doing some training for them. Prime Minister Abadi came to visit us about 6 weeks ago. Very good visit. We're opened all our doors to see what we can do to help the Iraqis. Obviously, looking at training a Free Syrian Army against ISIS is something that is ongoing in discussions. But how do we get to the tribes again inside of Syria, Eastern Syria in specific, that are fighting back against ISIS? Again, one of the problems is that there's a perception in Eastern Syria, in general, but also in Western Iraq, that the international community only really gets excited when minorities get jeopardized. So the Christians in the summer or the Kurds, but when it comes to the Sunnis, they're being ignored. So this is why the time factor, I think, is very important. We have to reach out to the tribes in Western Iraq and into Eastern Syria to make them feel that, you know,
people.
When you
say reach out, what do you mean?
Well, get equipment to them, get support to them. There are ways of doing that I've been talking about for several months. But by the end of the year, action has to be taken. There's not things that I'd like to discuss on this venue, but there are things that we're going to have to pull the trigger on, so to speak, I think in the next several weeks.
But does it include Jordanian troops?
I believe that at the end of the day, whether it's in Iraq or in Syria, it has to be done by the local populations themselves. But getting them supplies and support is another issue. So how do you physically get them support? There is airplay at the moment in strikes. Do you get supplies to them through air? Do you get them supplies through ground? And how do you protect and support that? Those are things that I think are going to be discussed. But I don't want anybody to think that any of us are talking about the concept of boots on the ground, foreign boots on the ground to solve the problem. At the end of the day, Syrians have to solve the Syrian problem and Iraqis have to support.